Good morning and welcome to City Talk. It's a weekly radio program. It's a podcast. It's a TV program that we here at the City of Waco use to communicate with you, our citizens, and people who are wanting to know about what's going on in the City of Waco. I'm Larry Holsey, Director of Municipal Information and Communication for the City of Waco. I'm your host for this program. Today I'd like to welcome Bobby Stewart, who is the program manager for the Veterans One Stop, a great organization that was formed several years ago to really help take care of the people we love in Waco, and that's our veterans. We do so many things. I mean, between all the veterans, the regional offices and the hospital and all those different things. But so many times veterans fall through the cracks through several programs and things and whatever else. But you've developed, or you all, the Veterans One Stop has created a one stop where people who have served our country, who've given the ultimate and many times, except the death part of it, to our country, and they need services, and we don't want them to be overlooked. Tell us a little bit about, first of all, Veterans One Stop, and then we'll get into the details of what it is.
Okay. Larry, thank you so much for having me today. So the Veterans One Stop it's a program under the umbrella of the Heart of Texas Regional MHMR Center. It's a governmental entity, and it's a 501c3, so meaning all donations received are tax exempt. And we were originally founded in 2012 by a group of community members, and it was founded over on Austin Avenue. When it outgrew its walls, it moved over to the current location at 2010 LaSalle. And there we have a plethora of resources available to help our service members, veterans, and their families. We also extend services to widows and surviving spouses.
Well, that's exactly what I was expecting. So it's at a one-stop, and we're going to go through a list. You've provided me a nice little brochure that you have that's talking about the services you have. But you have there's a network that's connected with this. I think it's called the Military Peer Veteran Network.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that. And so is that something outside of our region and our area? And then also tell us about what size area does the Veterans One Stop encompass? Is it limited to McLennan County only, or what? So.
Okay. So MVPN, which is Military Veteran Peer Network, is a legislative formed program under the Texas Veterans Commission, TVC. And I am the MVPN Peer Service Coordinator. And through that, we are responsible for recruiting and retaining volunteers and training them for military-informed peer interventions. We provide an 8-hour training course that, again, is funded by TVC that allows us to bring people with a love for assisting vets on the same page for providing resources, identifying mental illness, suicidality, many things that when somebody is in an unknown state, we're able to help them network into counseling or service needs. And so our MVPN volunteers are really the forefront of what is met at the door or on the phone for people coming into our facility.
Well, it's larger than what you all locally are right here.
It's Texas-based, yes,
Texas-based, okay. And your service area, is it anybody walks through the door as a veteran? Doesn't matter whether they're from another county or not? Or do they have to reside in this area, or what's
The Veterans One Stop and our partnering networks work with McLennan County, Hill, Bosque, Freestone, Limestone, and Falls County. So we have 6 counties in our catchment area. And our veteran service officers work for McLennan County. And so that's their catchment area, is our veterans and families of McLennan County. But all of our other services are able to extend out into the neighbors.
we'll go over some of the other services beyond, but I can only imagine the fact that one of the primary things that you've talked about is the counseling services and services that deal with the stresses and pressures that most of the veterans that are coming to you have. A lot of PTSD and a lot of stress that has resulted from just the mental anguish of being in the service under the pressures and stresses that we have no idea unless you've served. And so counseling is a huge deal. And your relationship with MHMR obviously is a part of that because so talk a little bit about the counseling services and how do you refer them, or do you actually provide the services right there in the location?
Okay. The Veterans One Stop has 5 professional counselors. We have 4 licensed professional counselors and 1 LCDC, which essentially is a substance use counselor. And after an intake is done with case management and needs are assessed, then the veteran or their family or the service member, surviving spouse or widow, can all receive services through with the clinicians who are grant funded through the TVCFA, which is Texas Veterans Commission Act. It's a funding program to provide the monies, and more information can be found out about that through tvc.texas.gov. And we are able to provide 5 different types of psychology to where we can provide treatment for moral injury, for PTSD, for anger management, some grief, different group, individual, and family settings. We have several different networks for that. And most of the services can all be done in-house. We do partner with some local areas if necessary, or if somebody doesn't meet the criteria. But for the most part, our clinicians are seeing people face-to-face and teleserve all day long.
Well, I can picture how a one-stop location would be not only for recreation, for food, meals, just getting together, and certainly with veterans getting together to talk about their experiences in the service, and there's a camaraderie that's always involved there. That's, first of all, I'm sure creates a relaxed atmosphere that's conducive to being able to receive treatment and those things that you're talking about, because counseling is a very major part of it. Would you say that probably that is your primary thing that you offer or connect with?
Excuse me. Yes and no. Once upon a time, pre-COVID, when we were open for business, the mission statement of the MVPN, Hope, Trust, and Camaraderie, played a large role with being able to get everybody to speak on the same page and be under the same roof. Post-COVID, everything is done by appointment only. So our case management has picked up a greater need and is serving a population that is a little more extensive than before. We have our veteran service officers that provide claims assistance and community outreach, in addition to our counselors and what our volunteers do. And then we have our other neighboring partners. There really isn't a majority. It's more of the population that's meeting, or that's needing the criteria that we offer.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned COVID-19. Obviously, we can't do anything without COVID anymore. Get more in detail about how that has actually impacted the overall things that you do offer, because obviously you all are trying to take care and follow the governor and everybody's orders regarding social distancing, and to make sure that this vulnerable population you were talking about, who maybe have underlying health problems themselves, don't succumb or get involved with COVID-19, that we don't want them to get involved. How has that impacted your services and maybe limited them to what you would like to be able to do?
Limited, yes, limited. This pandemic has allowed all of us to really practice resiliency. Our annual Thanksgiving that has previously fed up to 700 veterans and their families was canceled. Parties and appreciation gatherings for volunteers canceled. A lot of that reflected what we could offer. Without the volunteers, we didn't have the people. So we had to be able to reach out and find new ways to connect. And one of the things that has been very successful is our bikes program. It doesn't really have a name, maybe Bikes for Vets, but we had about 2 years ago, case management was trying to get bikes for people that couldn't make it to their appointments or couldn't make it to a job, or, had had a DWI and lost their license for, and with everything going on, that was something that could only really be given minimal attention to. Now we still have wonderful, generous members of the community willing to give large sums of money, but we don't have the Wednesday meals. We don't have $500 a week we're spending to feed people. So we're able to, with our donors' permission, we're able to move a lot of these funds into bikes, into transportation assistance, into different types of housing assistance, helping them with certain, I don't want to say like moving in and living, because those are our neighboring partners, but there's always that one thing that somebody may need, and we take it case by case and are able to address it. But we're working to raise the morale of our community by getting in touch with those that need it, that are most impacted by it, and from there we want to expand it based on how this group receives it.
Well, if someone is interested in making your first-time contact, we have a veteran out there that's maybe lives in the community, lives with family or whatever else, but they just feel like they want to get connected as it may be. They walk in your door, and what do they find now? Is the social distancing a real major factor? And then do you all, I'm moving in really the question about the case management services, because case management, and I'm sure you will register them and try to figure out what their overall needs are so that you can then address those. Talk about that a little bit.
Okay. So because we are an entity of MHMR, we follow the same guidelines for social distancing, which means that our door is locked. People are met at the door. They are seen by appointment only, regardless of the service that they're receiving. And they're screened for COVID, and their temperature is taken, and all masks and social distancing is adhered to. With once they speak with the volunteers and we know why they're there, then they're taken back to, say, for example, to case management. The case manager will come out and get them, and they'll begin an intake, or they'll review their needs. And somebody that's brand new to the community and maybe hypothetically sitting at the edge of crisis, homelessness, living out of their car, couch surfing, any of those labels, we have a food pantry and clothing closets that we can provide them 3 to 5 days of immediate assistance with. We can provide them with transportation assistance, such as a gas card or a bus pass if they qualify. We have a place where they can take a shower, where they can do a load of laundry. If they need a meal, we've got a kitchen. It's still functioning. We've, on more than one occasion, have had people bring us in like a whole something, like a whole chunk of meat or something, and we'll cook it, and whoever's there that day, we feed them. And with that, it's always less than 10. We have to still mandate the CDC guidelines. So our lobby's got 1 or 2 people in it. Our coffee lasts a little bit longer, but right now our regular clients, they pretty much know, and it's established where people are out in the parking lot. They call, they say they're there, and we're able to bring them in, and it's not as chaotic as it used to be. But we have seen a lot of the barricades caused by this, and that's people who don't want to come in because of a mask, or they don't want to come in because of an overall systemic fear that's developed. And so it's a constant effort to try to reassure the community that we still have everything in place. It just runs different. And we want people to come in, and we want people to take advantage of our services, and we want the camaraderie back. It's a matter of time, though. It's a slow process.
How would you say your numbers have changed? Can you give us an idea how many maybe pre-COVID individuals you work with and provide services to, and now has that changed dramatically to the point of just like it's that they're out there, that they still need the services?
Pre-COVID, we reported about 4,000 a month to TVC to satisfy grants. Now, since COVID, we were averaging about half of that. A lot of it is phone. A lot of it is phone captures, and TVC has gone to a remote way of capturing numbers because so much is done over the phone and through webinars and virtual access. So, but it's unduplicated now, whereas before a lot of it was the people that came in every Wednesday to eat, and people that came in because they just needed some camaraderie. And now a lot of it is solely services.
Yeah. If you just joined us, we're visiting with Bobby Stewart, who is the program manager for Veterans One Stop at 2010 LaSalle. A fantastic organization, been since 2012, as I think you said.
Yes, sir.
To provide services that are many times overlooked, and making a home-type atmosphere, as it may be, a comfortable atmosphere for our very precious veterans to be able to stop in and get all types of things. And that's kind of what we're going to do, because you've got food and housing assistance, you've got helping people with the benefits that they're available from the state and the federal government, and helping maybe sometimes communicate with elected officials and helping them know what they want to do, because I'm sure a veteran feels like they are entitled to talk with their elected people who are putting them in that position or being able to care for them, things like that. So applications for Veterans Affairs and claims probably has to be one of the big things that you do, because somebody walks in and they have no idea what all is offered. How can I get assistance? Claims is a big deal. Talk about that a little bit.
Yes. So we have 3 veteran service officers that work for McLennan County, and they assist with the VA-related service-connected disability for claims and other service-connected disabilities. And they also work outreach into the community. They help with they can help with evictions when moving, and if the constable calls them, then they respond to the veteran to take care of that need, and it could be a range of things. From there, the veteran service officers are able to assist with getting them into housing or getting them off the street for the night. But if somebody comes in and they just got out, or they're a Vietnam era vet and they've been out for a couple decades now, they're able to make an appointment with the service officer, and there's a question and answer process, and the VSO they'll generate a narrative of the situation, and hopefully eventually get a claim to where the veteran can get more money into their pocket and get the benefits that they're eligible for. And our guys work around the clock. They work from home, they answer their phone all the time, and they stay busy. They are definitely busy. Sometimes,
Sadly, we have a spouse that has been left alone now because of the veteran dies or whatever. Talk about some of the services there, because it extends past just being a veteran, because if you're married to a veteran, you're always a veteran yourself. So talk about some of the spouse services, because that's got to be a help when a veteran does pass away, and that sadness results in a loss of someone that's loved. but you all love that veteran, but so does the spouse. Talk about spouse services.
Okay. Our counseling and case management does extend to spouses and families. Now, as for surviving spouses, there is VA benefits that they're eligible for that the VSOs can help them with. Mm-hmm. And it's a matter of just making the appointment and explaining the situation. We also partner with Caritas, who has received eligibility to assist surviving spouses. So when we do talk with somebody in that position, we're able to refer them out and make sure that they are getting everything that they need.
Okay. A lot of times the best way to get somebody from their trauma as it is to get them something to do, productivity to the community, a job.
Yes.
Finding a job for somebody who maybe doesn't know what they should be doing or whatever else. You all provide that service too, because I'm sure that's a very valuable contribution that you're able to do. Talk about your job employment services.
Okay. Texas Veterans Commission has provided a person to work in an office to do job networking, to help create resumes and teach the veteran how to get back out into the workforce from transition. Because of COVID, mm-hmm. people are working from home. Our strongest network right now is Ron Flint at the Workforce Solutions, and he's a veteran counselor. And Ron is also a man that will answer his phone all the time, and we can send people to him or he'll come up to us. But he's been a great asset in getting a lot of the COVID-affected veterans back out into the workforce.
Well, I'm sure Texas Workforce Commission, as far as that part goes, concerned. So, but those are great things too. But I know you do a lot of family support and financial counseling, because many times taking the little the funds that they do get from the government and benefits or whatever else, helping them to make it ends meet, takes some good financial counseling. And that's something that you all also provide.
Yes, the EOAC provides a monthly budgeting class for financial assessment, which helps to make veterans that are overqualified for some emergency needs eligible, because they've met the financial assessment requirement. And also it's just a help for people that need it or want it.
Legal issues. I know you can get into all types of situations that all of us would never think of, with a veteran especially, but you all provide legal counseling as well.
Yes. So we have partnered with the Baylor Law Clinic since its inception, mm-hmm. or since the One Stop's inception. And the students that the Baylor Law students work with established lawyers to provide assistance for wills, probates, and other civil matters, and sometimes are able to refer out for means above their eligibility. We're all funded by grants, and so if a situation comes up, they're able to send the vet to where they need to go and tell them. But we used to do the legal services in-house, but now we make the appointment. They go over to Baylor, to the law clinic, and they're able to do all their paperwork right there, and it's free of cost to the veteran.
I know our new city council member, Josh Barteroo, is in the law business over there, and that's one of the areas that he specifically works with.
He's the director.
Yeah, he's the director.
He's been a great asset to me.
He's a fine gentleman. We're so blessed to have him on the city council. But he has a compassion and a love, and I think he's helped create that program.
Yes, he did. And
so that's something that our veterans are fortunate to have, and know that they're in good hands. Don't just think that you're involved with a Baylor student that doesn't know what they're doing. Baylor Law School, first of all, is second to none.
Yes.
But then being able to have that dedicated service to that. But I wanted to be sure and recognize that, because he's he's a jewel for the city of Waco too.
Yes, he is.
But substance abuse has to always be kind of up the top of the list, as it may be, at least in the top 3 or 4 with veterans, because sad as it is, they're exposed to all kind of traumas and things that drugs, a lot of times they're treated with drugs, and so they become dependent on. Talk about your substance abuse, you do screening and any type of referrals and treatment like that.
Yes. So our LCDC counselor, the substance use counselor, has a curriculum that she is able to implement in an individual and group setting to help these guys, and I say that ambiguously, our veteran men and women veterans to be able to work the process of recovery. And she is our entire counseling group is incorporated into the Veterans Treatment Court, and through that, our justice-involved vets who have committed a misdemeanor and met other eligibility are able to receive substance use treatment either through the One Stop or through the VA or a private entity, depending on their choice. And from there, the course of treatment can it can, for the justice-involved vet, it can be a game changer for them. It can help them to get their charge dismissed and give them the second chance at life that they need. It can also be the game changer for the person that is not justice-involved, that just needs to realize that their moral injury, their PTSD, their chronic depression, whatever their mental illness is, does not have to co-occur with substance use.
A couple of weeks ago, we had Susie Painter March with Prosper Waco and Renisha Hudlin, who is in our Housing and Community Development Department, talking about homeless. Homeless is a big issue and concern for citizens of Waco, and I know many times veterans find it, that you mentioned those earlier. What other things did you all try to do for the homeless from a veteran standpoint?
Okay. We work with the VA to get a formal amount of numbers that are documented homeless. But we also are aware of the couch surfers and people who live in their cars, and that just they may not be documented, but they are living with mental illness and they are not living under a roof. And we are able to provide clothing, blankets, tents, shoes, food. Every once in a while, we're able to put them up in a temporary housing. We have a constant relationship with Endeavors and Caritas and the Salvation Army to make sure that nobody's left out on the street. If somebody's in transit, sometimes we can just get them like an overnight stay. We have had some very generous members of the community donate large sums of money that they want specifically given to the homeless population. And so there is funds that we are able to provide whatever they need.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got about a minute left. I want to make sure that everybody understands that Veterans One Stop provides benefit help, clothing pantry, employment services, family support, legal services for veterans. And anything I've forgotten to mention that maybe you want to touch on real quickly that in summary?
Veterans, service members, families, dependents, widows, surviving spouses are all welcome by appointment only. We have our Facebook page, the Veterans One Stop Facebook page. We have a Twitter account, HOT_Veterans One Stop, and also the same tag for Instagram, HOT_Veterans One Stop.
And you're located at 2010 LaSalle.
Yes, sir.
Bobby Stewart, who is the program manager for our Veterans One Stop, a great organization who serves our veterans so well. And again, it's a 501c3, so if you want to make contributions, and volunteering is certainly an option that you probably would use, as it is available with COVID-19. First of all, Bobby, thank you for everything that you do in providing those services to our veterans. And thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you so much, Larry.
And I want to thank all you all for joining us for City Talk, and hope you'll be back next week for more information here on the City Talk program. This program is produced by the Municipal Information Department of the City of Waco and is provided as a public service by this station.